Lily Pad is an environment modifier plant that costs 25 sun, recharges in 7.5 seconds, and allows non-aquatic plants to be placed on the pool. Lily Pad is an interesting plant to write a review for because you don't really use it all that often, considering it's useless 60% of the time in adventure mode. However, despite not being used for a large portion of the story, the utility it does provide in Worlds 2 and 4 is essential, as not including it means you can only use Tangle Kelp, Sea Shroom, and 3-peater. Not impossible, considering people have made videos about it, but it certainly makes it less of a headache, considering a few choice zombies that would make such an endeavor significantly more troublesome. Also, Survival's Endless, Pool, and Pool Hard, along with Last Stand, Bobsled Bonanza, Inserating Seeds, Invisigool, Big Trouble Little Zombie, Zombie Nimble Zombie Quick, Zombotany 2, and Heat Wave all take place in the backyard pool at both day and night, so Lily Pad is used for all of these. Squash is an instant use plant that costs 50 sun, recharges in 50 seconds, and deals instant kill damage to all zombies 1 tile ahead or behind. As one might conclude from the information provided, Squash is essentially a more versatile potato mine with an increased sun cost to compensate. It can still function similarly to Potato Mine, acting as an early game staller to buy more time for sun production, and doesn't do any worse a job at it, considering it costs only 25 sun extra and doesn't take time to arm itself. But it can also function as a mini cherry bomb, being used to quickly remove zombies that can otherwise pose a greater threat to your defenses than others might. And the 100 sun cost decrease does make it more useful in a wider variety of situations, where perhaps your sun production may not be sufficient for a quick cherry bomb. However, an issue arises when its comparatively lower impact radius underperforms in situations where cherry bomb would excel, leading to players focusing on building a strong sun economy being less inclined to use Squash, as the benefits of a cheaper plant and a weaker plant would seem less crucial when cherry bomb is theoretically as available with increased power to boot. Peter is a straight shot attacking plant that costs 325 sun, recharges in 7.5 seconds, and fires 3 Ps, 1 in its own lane and 1 in either adjacent lane. As one might initially intuit, 3-peater is similar to Repeater in that it acts as a plant that condenses the use of multiple pea shooters into one unit. However, there are several distinctions between the two that allow Repeater to fill that role better in most circumstances. For starters, 3-peater is not cost efficient, being more expensive than 3 pea shooters, with inefficiency being exacerbated when placed on the top and bottommost lanes, which means its only immediate benefits are space and recharge efficiency. And to give 3-peater some credit, its recharge efficiency alone is 3 times higher than simply planting 3 pea shooters, but that's immediately counteracted by its hefty sun cost. And while its ability to save space is helpful, especially when used to circumvent the use of Lily Pad during Worlds 3 and 4, there are still cheaper options for multi-lane damage that can perform at a similar or higher level. So basically, the benefits don't always outweigh the costs. Tangle Kelp is an instant use plant that costs 25 sun, recharges in 30 seconds, and instantly kills the first zombie that touches it. Tangle Kelp is essentially an aquatic potato mine that kills only 1 zombie, but recharges faster. This means that it can fill a similar role to Potato Mine, stalling early game for more sun production in the pool. It does do this pretty well, considering it's one of the cheapest plants in the game and only really needs to kill a zombie or 2 early on, meaning its downsides are less pronounced. However, as the level progresses, Tangle Kelp will steadily be outclassed by other instant use plants that have more of a chance to shine during the late game with support from Lily Pad and a strong sun economy. Not only this, but higher zombie density will mean it will lack the firepower to handle the majority of dangerous situations late game, leaving it only as a quick way to dispatch a dolphin zombie if you don't have a tall nut. Spikeweed is an area of effect plant that costs 100 sun, recharges at 7.5 seconds, and damages zombies as they walk over it. Put simply, Spikeweed is the spitting image of Ancillary. It can be used to provide extra damage, making better use of the right side of the lawn than other plants would, as most zombies simply ignore them. It proves even more useful when zombies do interact with them, as they immediately kill zombonis and catapult zombies when crushed by their tires. This means that placing spikeweed at the rightmost side of the lawn serves both to get a head start on damaging grounded zombies, while also acting as a set-it-and-forget-it counter for two dangerous and tanky zombies, immediately preventing zomboni from creating an ice trail and being able to kill stationary catapults when most other attacking plants would be forced to deal with the zombies ahead of them first. However, Gargantuar is an exception to this, as it can simply crush spikeweed without taking any damage as a result. Other notable downsides include being incapable of being planted on lily pads and in flower pots, along with only affecting one tile, which means its 20 damage per second can only be fully utilized when paired with a defensive plant like walnut or tallnut. Torchwood is an environment modifier plant that costs 175 sun, recharges in 7.5 seconds, ignites peas, melts frozen peas, thaws frozen or chilled zombies, and wards off a small amount of fog. It synergizes well with setups that make heavy use of pea shooting plants, partially mitigating the flaws of using a pea-only setup by allowing peas to deal double damage along with splash damage in a 1x1 radius. However, Torchwood's tendency to remove ice effects means you have less options to slow or stop zombies if something goes wrong. This leads to faster paced levels that require more attention to be paid, because zombies that counter straight shots can be troublesome if you don't bring any piercing or lobbing plants to compensate. Though, these are issues that aren't very severe, as smart players can customize their seed selection with this in mind and usually not be worse for wear. Overall, Torchwood is a solid choice in its given niche that requires a slight amount of foresight and planning on the player's part, but can still provide results. Tallnut is a defensive plant that costs 125 sun, recharges in 30 seconds, cannot be jumped over, and has 8,000 health. Tallnut serves the exact same purpose as Walnut, acting as a buffer between your low-health offensive plants and the oncoming horde. The difference between the two being that Tallnut has twice the health along with the ability to block jumping zombies, meaning it functions much more effectively as a wall. However, 125 sun cost in a 25 sun meta with a slow recharge for a non-instant use means it takes a significantly larger amount of time to get a good number of them on the field, lessening their ability to function as a counter. This is a notable downside, because it counters some really annoying zombies that can otherwise wreak their havoc largely unchallenged when your instas are on cooldown at least. This is less of an issue in survival modes, however, as you're given multiple rounds to build your lawn and establish a strong sun economy that can support Tallnut. This is especially important in Survival Endless, because holding all the zombies they spam at you in place for as long as possible is the best way to maximize Cob Cannon's damage output and to stall your insta's cooldown.